are listening to the Starter Girls podcast with Amy Lafitte
and Jennifer Loading.
And whether you are starting a project, starting a business, starting a brand, or starting a movement, we are here to talk about it.
Yes, ma'am. We're excited too. We have an awesome guest today. I'm super excited about this one. Like super excited about this guest. She's like my new friend.
Best friend.
New best friend. Like we're almost like Twinkies, I think. This is why I'm so excited about it. But yeah, how did we meet, Casey? We met like not even that long ago.
In a green room, right?
In a green room.
In a green room.
Yes,
I met
in a green
both
room.
of y'all. And guess who I saw today?
Who'd you see today?
Michael Yorba.
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Awesome.
cool.
So we have
awesome.
to give a shout out to Michael.
We do.
He was the connector.
He was. I know. And it's so funny because we were talking about this accidental arrangement. You know, like I always believe there are no accidents. You meet people for reasons. But we have found out that we are so much alike. It's like kind of scary.
It is kind of scary. And yeah, so you took my assessment that I
Yes.
used for hiring. And usually when people take that assessment, they don't score like so extreme in any areas. But I did score extreme.
Yes.
And you were like, almost to a T, exactly like me. I was like,
scary.
we're either going to hate each other or love each other. So I think we're on the love path.
Yeah, we're
That's
good.
good.
We're good. I think it's great. It's great. So I'm super excited to welcome her on here. So I'm going to read a little bit about her because her, like I said, her bio is like killer awesome. I love it. So I had to go in and pick out like the highlights of the highlights, you know, because it's so awesome. So Casey Hasten is a top executive recruiter, having spent over 20 years in the accounting space before finding her passion, helping others find their dream job. She'll have to tell you a little bit about that. She specializes in hiring practices and helping companies of all sizes learn to hire right the first time instead of ticking and tying financials. So I was taught when I tell people about her, I'm like, she's the person that teaches people how to hire people right the first time. So they don't waste time, right? Mm-hmm. She's a host of the We Are VIP podcast, which I was just on. Great podcast.
And it was amazing.
And it's a podcast devoted to adding value to your career or candidate search. And she says it so good when she gets on there. I love it. She needs to like do it. It's so awesome. She's been a guest on numerous podcasts and is frequently called the hiring guru by Fox News Radio and other news outlets across the nation. Pretty cool. She was most recently a guest for one of the top 100 radio hosts in the nation. And she's going to be releasing her first book in 2021, Hiring Up, co-authored by, is that E-Myth? I love it. E-Myth. Yeah. Chief Financial Officer, author Fred Parrish. I love this, which will share the best practices she has learned for hiring right the first time. So I want to welcome Casey Hazen onto the show.
Thank
Super
you.
excited.
I know. I'm so excited to be here with you ladies today. Thank you for having me.
We're so excited to have you. And we're going to like get into this, but I just want to tell you too, I also filled out your whole questionnaire and it was so fascinating to see that. So we'll definitely have to talk about that later here.
And I did see that you took it and I have not had a chance to look at the results and really dive into it yet. It's been a crazy couple of days. So.
Oh yeah, it's all good. Jennifer and I were already discussing our ways we're alike and ways we're different.
It's a fun test. I think it's awesome.
It's so
we have to talk about that. I think it's just an awesome,
it's
an awesome assessment.
Yes. So, but one of the things I get to do is ask people just like some rapid fire questions. People kind of get to know you a little bit. So are you a morning or a night person?
Okay. Forced morning, but naturally nights.
Awesome. She's up early.
Yeah. Yeah. But I make myself and it's really hard sometimes.
Like the forced, like as of like what hour?
I try to get up by 5:30. Yeah. I'm not going to say I'm great at it and that I hit it all the time, but I have a morning ritual that I do and it really requires that extra time in the morning, but I feel like it just so sets my day up for success when I do it.
That's awesome.
Don't you feel powerful? Like you can get so much done in the morning.
You can.
Like you can be a rock star before 8 a.m.
Yes, but I tend to drink way more coffee when I get up that early and then I have to like moderate myself because I get a stomach ache.
So funny. I'm up early every day. Like I'm like conquered the world by noon.
Yeah.
Like it's afternoon, I'm like, man, that to-do list looks great. I highlighted everything off it. I can now rest.
I wish. It is really hard though when you're a night person and you're trying to be a morning person because like it's weird, but like I start doing TikToks at 10 o'clock at night because that's when my brain turns on. And then I'm up to like 12 or 1. I mean, you can't do that if you need 8 hours of sleep and have to get up by 5:30. So that's the hard thing is if you have your energy at night and you have your ideas at night and all your other stuff, it's hard to be like, I'm going to turn this off, even though I'm feeling very productive right now. So I can go to bed and be productive in the morning.
She does all her productivity between 10 and midnight.
I do.
10 p.m. and 12. Like I wake up in the morning and all her stuff has been done. Like I'm like, wow, she's like messaging me TikTok videos at 12:30 at night.
Yeah, I'm texting her at
She's
midnight
hilarious.
and she's texting me at 4 a.m. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
always wake up to a text from each
Yeah.
other. It's just because
I do
we're like on
voiceovers at like
opposite-
5:30 in the morning to her. I'm like, hey, I got an idea for today.
and I call him at like 9:30. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, it's crazy. So okay, I digress. So are you a cat or a dog person?
I am definitely a dog person.
Awesome. Do you have dogs?
I do. I have two little, I'm going to say I'm like the designer dogs they are, Palm Cheese. Palm Cheese, which really, they are mutts. They're Pomeranian Chihuahua crosses.
I have never
How
heard it called palm
cute.
cheese.
You haven't?
I
Oh
like
my
it.
gosh, they're really
No,
cute.
Palm cheese. That's
Yeah.
cute.
That's awesome.
I could see you with the cute palm cheese.
Yeah, my little one's like 4.5 pounds.
Oh
so.
my gosh, so cute.
So
I love
funny.
it. Like the Pomeranians are all already really, really small. So it's funny to me that they're like, oh, let's crossbreed them with the
palm
Chihuahuas.
cheese.
So-
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go look a palm cheese up when I get
Oh,
home.
I'll send you
They're-
pictures.
Yeah,
I
send me
have
Yes.
send me a picture of your
I have
palm
lots.
cheese. I gotta check this out. I have
Yes.
big dogs, so I don't know what little dogs are. I
Um,
got manly dogs, the kind that ride in trucks with truck
Hey, ours
drivers.
ride in trucks.
No, I'm talking like I call them truck driver kind of
Oh,
dogs.
yeah.
Like I have a pit
Mhm.
bull, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you do. And your Catahoula.
yeah, and I have a Catahoula.
Yep. So what is your favorite food?
Mexican food, chips and salsa. Love
I
it.
love it.
That's
Mm.
mine too.
Of course it is.
I said when we did this on our show one day, we did our top 3 foods. That was my number 1 was chips
Yes.
and salsa.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
It's like
It ties sometimes with Andy's custard because I like custard too. So sometimes it ties,
I'm not
but
a
it's,
sweet person.
but it's
so-
mostly chips and salsa.
Yeah.
So no margaritas either. Just chips and salsa.
No, I'll do margaritas.
She's
Oh,
I was gonna
okay.
say she'll do a margarita.
Are you kidding me?
She'll do a margarita. That doesn't count as sweet.
Okay.
It's alcohol.
It's totally different.
That's
Right,
totally different.
right.
I love it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So one question that we would love to know is like for you to tell us, how you are uniquely you, I guess.
A
Because
little
you
bit
have,
about you and yeah.
yeah, I'll let you
little bit about
rephrase-
you
rephrase.
and what makes you unique.
Yes.
It's a
Little
new
bit
question. That's why
better.
we were like
I'm
stuck
like,
on
where
it.
is my
Yeah, she's
where
like,
is
where's
my
the question?
notes?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
I think what makes me uniquely me is that I don't accept the status quo. And for example, when I started recruiting, I was taught this is the way you're going to do it. And it was very transactional. And I'm not a transactional kind of person. And so when I was recruited away from my first recruiter agency to the new one, I knew exactly. I've been talking for like 2 hours now. So this is my second podcast today. I knew exactly the type of environment that I wanted to create and the type of people that I wanted to surround myself with. And it wasn't that transactional methodology. It was more, I want to lead with value and with relationships first. I mean, this is why I have people. Literally, I just had a girl that I started working with 6 years ago. Never placed her. She called me out of the blue and she said, look, this just happened. I need your help. And I finally found her dream job 6 years
Aw.
later.
Wow.
So it's all about the relationships. And I think that's one thing that I'm really good at is building those relationships, fostering those relationships, but also making those connections when I see people like need to meet other people. I tend to just have a real talent for making those good connections.
I would agree with her on that. She's a great connector.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, Case, that is one of your.
It's my superpower.
Yeah, it's your superpower. You
Yeah.
are great at connecting. You're good at talking too. I think you're great at talking, and you're good at connecting. I'm good at those
It
things
sounds
too.
like you're talking about yourself, Jennifer. I can see why you.
That's why we
you
get
guys are
along.
really
Like I
very
messaged
similar.
her today. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I got somebody for your podcast.
Yep,
Somebody else that I've been connected with is going to be on mine. I need to put them on yours.
Yeah.
So it's good. No,
I
I
love
love
it.
it. I love it. And the thing is, she studied accounting. And so that's what she
She's also like you.
yes, I studied accounting too. And then I recognized that that's such a boring subject. Like,
Yeah.
ugh. My mom had a bookkeeping service when I was growing up. And back then in the 80s, do you remember when they had like executive suites? They were like, they're kind of like
Yeah.
Venture X's now.
Yeah,
is what they are, but they would
totally.
have like the secretary up in the front that would do
Oh,
all
yeah,
the
yeah.
typing, answer the switchboards. So my mom owned like several of those and she had a bookkeeping firm out of that. And so I just was always in that culture and it's like, I'm going to go into accounting, be a CPA. And then I got to tax law and I was like, this sucks. Like I got to actually memorize, like I could do the math part of it, like I could do the accounting part I could do, but then I had to start memorizing all these tax laws. I'm like, no, that's not my calling.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But it took me a long time before I figured out that I needed to talk.
Yeah, right?
What was
Right?
it you said in your email today that you were
I forgot what was
always
I
talking?
yes.
as a kid?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Cause I always got in trouble for talking.
Yeah.
And but I also got in trouble for that too. Like I remember as a kid, like even in we would have weekly folders where they would do your conduct grade. I'd actually like go in there and like try to scratch the B out, you know,
That's
and make it into an
hilarious.
A minus, so my mom wouldn't get mad because I got in trouble for talking all the time. I'm like, hello, had I listened to all those people, what would be happening
Right?
today? Right?
I know.
All that meanness. So I guess my question for you would be like, at what point did you kind of realize? I know this wasn't on; it's a little different, but you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be good. At what point did you realize, hey, like I need to move into this recruiting and come out of the accounting a little bit?
That is a really good question. And I did not realize it on my own. It took a lot of convincing because having been in the accounting world, you know, I'd always had a budget, right? And you always knew how much you were going to get every month and how much you were going to spend. And when you move to recruiting, you're 100% commission. And
Yep.
so I was actually the company I'd been working for 11 years, ended up closing. And so I was looking for jobs, and that's when I started engaging with recruiters. And I think I found every bad recruiter in the DFW area first. And I was like really done with them. And then finally, I found a good recruiter. And as we were going through and she would present these jobs to me, I'd be like, I don't want to do that because of this. And really what it came down to is I didn't want to do it because it was accounting.
Oh, yeah.
And she finally looked at me and she goes, Casey, you don't like accounting. And I went,
Hello.
what am I going to do? You
Right,
know?
right.
And
Right.
she had been a director of accounting for 13 years before switching to recruiting. And she goes, come watch me. Come see what I do because I think you'd be really good at it. And I've never looked back. She was so
Wow.
right. So right.
Wow. And those are different because I always think about like when I was doing accounting, everything is scaled thinking. I mean, you're thinking, you know, everything's right, left, right, left, right,
Oh,
left.
yeah,
So it's very,
totally.
it's like, it's all a check and balance, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And then, so talking about your career, you're going from a regular salary, you know, going from this stability to all of a sudden now you're going into this other zone where maybe it's not quite as in your eyes stable, but you have more control. Like you have a little bit more control about where you go. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So I think that, yeah, I mean, and oddly enough, when I was talking to Jeff, who by the way, we'll have to talk about a little bit because he's the one that Jeff Yates that does the testing that you work with.
Yes.
He told me, like, he said, you don't need to be working at a desk. You need to be freelancing. So I don't like to be told what to do. And so I could see this, like, totally how you could have moved in.
And that's why this is so great because basically I'm an entrepreneur. I run a business within a business because nobody tells me how to run my desk, right? I get to run it the way I want to run it. And I get to teach my team to run their desk. I teach them the tools. I tell them how, this is what it looks like to be successful. But you run your desk the way you want to,
I love it.
as long as you're doing it legally,
Right, right.
ethically. So
I love it.
yeah,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I think that yes, we need to talk about Jeff just real quick because what was it he said to us when we were at prepping for the Sharks?
I think he said he needed to sleep before he sat between us next time. Before he sits between us next time. He said that there.
can
We didn't get to
imagine
sit.
that,
I
yeah.
sat next to him in that event. I probably talked his ear off. And
Yeah.
like, he had like, his story was like good. Like, I'm getting him on the show. I'm like, you got to talk about that test. It's amazing.
it is so it's like 95% accurate too.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
really
And why
cool.
is it so good? I mean, if you think about it, like, why is it so good for somebody that takes it if they're looking for a job or even for an employer?
Because it
using-
tells you how you're wired. It tells
Exactly.
you what, like when I told Jeff that I had been an accountant for 20 years, he just went, oh my God, you were miserable, weren't you? Because I'm not internally wired at the core to do that.
Right.
I'm internally wired to be out talking to you, to be on podcasts, to be making new friends all the time
Yeah.
and not be just sitting there with numbers.
Yeah. I see that. I envision this like you're sitting in there and you're just like, oh, I need out.
Pretty much.
Like I have
Yeah.
not worked like this is a true story. I have not worked like a traditional desk job since like 1995.
Yeah.
I was at an insurance agency. I was working for State Farm at the time. This was way back before kids. That's the last like real like desk job I've had. I've been kind of, that's why I told you I've been kind of doing my own thing for a long time.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. Like I'd just be like, if I had to sit there all day, I'd be like,
Well,
bring me
that's,
some people.
that's why I'm a failed jazz singer because I
Oh.
used to spend 7 hours in like a little 5x5 cubicle with the piano. And like I would literally like hear people coming through the hallway, and I'd open up my door, and be like, "Hey, how are you? What are you doing? Oh, let's talk for a while." Because I couldn't. I was like really like to be an artist like that and spend 8 hours by yourself all day to like perfect your craft was like complete and total hell for me.
Amy's like, I gotta go out and find some friends.
Yeah.
You need to recruit the friends to do that with you, right?
Just go do karaoke.
Exactly. Go do karaoke, Amy. There you go. You can be a jazz singer, and you know, and then you have your group. You have your tribe.
Yes, exactly.
With you. They're cheering you on.
Will you sing something for us?
Maybe not right now.
She has done a little
I
jingle
have.
on our
I
podcast
have.
before. Every now and then she gets brave.
And my really good friends, I have them coming on, so maybe I'll make them sing. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. She has a jazz singer coming on. That's awesome.
And I've got an opera singer I'm working with too. Mm-hmm. So some good ones.
Awesome. Rock on. Rock on. All right. So where are we at, Amy?
Oh, is it my turn? Oh yeah, it is my turn.
Goal.
So okay, when you were going after like a goal or a project, what is your schedule, your experience, your thought process? Like when you're trying to make something happen, what does it look like for you?
So I'm so very fortunate that, and I think it's so important that you have your significant other that supports you in those goals and dreams and desires. So I definitely have that. So the first thing that I do is, and I can give you a perfect example, and I've told you this, I start coaching school next week. So, and it's about a year-long commitment, and it's pretty good financial commitment as well. And so it's something I really wanted to explore, but I knew, you know, as I started thinking about it, that this was a project that I wanted to take on for many, many reasons. But the first thing I did was talked it out with Steve to see, am I making sense with this? And then once I did that, I started a plan, and it's going to be a huge time commitment on top of my normal job, because I run a team. I'm the director of recruiting. I still run a full desk, so I'm still producing. I do the podcast, and now I'm going to do coaching school on top of that.
Wow.
Because I was getting bored. So
No surprise.
and I do all this networking and stuff like that. So when I'm approaching a project, I just have to look at what my time limitations are. Sometimes I have to give something up in order to do that, but I have to schedule things. I really do. I live and die by my calendar, and I have to just really schedule those things, and the things that aren't as important, I have to be okay to let them go.
That's really
Do
smart.
you do to-do list?
I do. So, yes, I do. And it's not because I am that structured. It's because I have to have structure to complete what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I use the Full Focus Journal. Have you heard of that by Michael Hyatt?
I haven't heard of it, yes.
So,
Yes.
and I've used it for I was counting up the other day. I think I've used it for almost 2 years. And I love it because every morning I list out my schedule for the day, even though I have it electronically. There's something about writing it down.
I agree.
I write my to-do list, and of that to-do list, I pick out my big three, my 3 rocks. And that journal goes with me everywhere.
You're going to laugh because underneath this paper right now,
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have our.
that's
Her
my
and I
to-do
always
list.
have our to-do list.
I need
with
to do
us.
like one of those, like, what do they call those journal things where those bullet journals?
Bullet
or what?
journals,
I need
yeah.
one of those because you see, like, somebody asked me the other day, they're like, why do you leave all these spaces? And I'm like, I got to make notes around this.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
I make, because if I don't finish, like if I'm working on it and I haven't finished, I put a note around it. But I love highlighters.
I
I love highlighters.
too.
So there's something about that coloring off the paper. Like you look at that and you're like, man, I conquered the
that's done.
to-do list.
I
Yeah.
have highlighters. Okay, I have a highlighter and a pen
Yeah.
in every area where I might sit. So I have one in the bathroom. So when I'm getting ready in the morning, because the journal goes there, I have
Right.
one sitting next to my bed in case I wake up in the middle of the night and need to write. And there's a notepad too, by the way. And then I also have them like everywhere, like in my seat, in the living room. So I get you.
It's a good idea. Then if you have ideas, you can jot them down.
Exactly.
Right? You get them
You
all
have
down
to.
because you'll forget, especially if you get like that. I'll get this like random, here's a good social media post right now. And I'll be like, oh, I didn't write it down. And I get home, what was that post I was
Oh
going
my
to do?
gosh, that's the
totally lost.
worst.
And it was good. It was good.
I wake up in the middle of the night. I swear to God, I have my best ideas in the middle of the night. And then I
Yeah.
go to sleep without writing them down. And in the morning, I'm like, what was that?
You're a rock star. I have a good question for you. So what do you love most about what you do?
People.
That's awesome.
So I deal like every day I'm on the phone meeting new people. They're coming into my office. I'm interviewing. I'm getting to know them. I had the coolest experience happen the other day. So I called, it was a new client that we'd just picked up. I'd emailed her. She didn't email me immediately back, which don't like. So I picked up the phone and I called her and she goes, I was just about to answer you. And I'm like, that's okay. I just wanted to get to know you. You're a new client. I haven't met you yet. I just wanted to take a few minutes of your time to get to
Right.
know you. You can answer that email later. Turns out I had gone to lunch with her husband,
Oh, how funny.
but it was okay. It was okay. I mean, but he was a certified strengths finder coach, and I was having him analyze my team.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so we ended up talking for like an hour. And
Wow.
that's what I get to do. How can you call that work?
Yeah.
I know. Well, they always say that when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your
That's
life,
right,
right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You just do.
Well, how do people become your client?
So a lot of times they become my client as a referral. So
Mm-hmm.
I work two sides of the desk. I work the client side and the candidate side. So a lot of times if people are looking for a job, they will engage with me. Sometimes I may go find you, because I know what my clients want, with the clients being the company hiring. And so they're like, I want this purple squirrel with the red tail, and I go out and find it.
Sure.
And so I may come to you, and my clients is the same way. So like if I have a really good candidate and I know you have an opening, I'm going to call and pitch that candidate to you. I may meet you that way. But a lot of my clients are referred. A lot of my clients used to be my candidates. I may have
Cool.
placed them in a hiring role.
Wow.
Mhm. That's really interesting.
I love this.
I know.
Rock star.
I know.
I'm going to come here every
I always
day.
have fun with her when I'm around her. Like it's like this high energy. I'm like anybody that sits in the middle of us, and if you are like what would it be, the passive, not the active, the
Right.
passive, we're gonna wear you out.
Yes.
We're gonna
exactly.
probably wear it because like yesterday we went to a networking event and I walked in, I was running behind and I get in. She's like immediately like I come in, I'm like I'm running to get a parking spot and I get in there and she's like, oh my goodness, I got to introduce you to somebody. And I'm like I was like I got to
I haven't
catch
even
my
got
breath.
a drink yet.
Like I need to catch my. Hey, this happens every time I go to networking. Like I never drink because I never make it to the bar.
Every single time that's what happens to me too. Like
Every
I'm trying to
time.
get to the
You
like
need a
5
wingman.
people in. I'm like,
I
okay,
need a
never forget
wingman,
it.
yes,
Yeah.
because I get in
Go
there.
get your
Somebody
drinks.
sees me. They're like, "Hey, I know you. We got to talk." I'm like,
I know.
Uh-huh.
30 minutes. Like, we haven't gone to the bar yet. Like, I'm not going to get there. It's not going to happen today. Like, but it's good. I save money that way, right?
It's
There you
true.
go.
I'm like the
It's true.
cheapest bar hopper. I can go to networking events and not spend money. That's awesome. All right. So I love to ask this question. You're probably not going to like it as much, but it's my favorite question because I'm a tenacity grit girl. Like I talk about like mindset and I like to talk about all the hard stuff. So what would you say has probably been the hardest thing you've had to overcome maybe in your journey to get to where you are today?
So, and I thought about this, and I want to be true to the memory. Probably the hardest thing I've had to overcome was the death of my oldest son,
I did not know this.
I know.
Wow.
and trying to continue and figure it out. And I'm not going to cry. So, but yeah, that was really tough, and trying to work
Yeah.
and be, because I was recruiting at the time,
Yes.
and so trying to keep that face and keep yourself together
yeah.
after a tragedy like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. You're tough. I know.
Sometimes.
Yes, you are. You're tough. And I love that about you. I think there's, that takes definite grit.
Uh-huh.
That is like the word that I talk about all the time. Grit. It's
Yeah.
like, when you meet people that have that, like they just have that grit. And it's just, I didn't even know that about you. So wow. Like that was like, yeah, wow. Wow. Crazy. So you are a strong woman, Casey Hasten.
Mhm.
I try to be.
You are.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you're amazing just in what you've been able to do, obviously overcoming a lot of different things. And I think it's interesting that for a long time you were in the wrong role, and now that's what you do is help people for a living. So who would you say in your life has been either your biggest influence, or do you have a couple?
So again, I'm going to tell you that there was a point in my life that I just really started blossoming, and it's when I found the right person to be with. And that person has supported me through everything that I've done. I mean, he was the only one that said, when I said, I think I'm going to switch to recruiting, my mom about lost her mind. She's like, you are a professional. You are not a used car salesman. And I'm like, I don't think this is what this is.
Right.
And it was a big risk. I mean, it was a huge pay cut. It was, going from having a dependable check to going to commission.
Right.
Mhm.
And Steve was the only person that said, go do it. Go do it. You
We
owe
love
it.
Steve.
Yeah.
That's all. Not everybody has that.
No.
And having
it's
been
so important.
No, and it is. And we talk about this because
Yes.
we're in network marketing for a very long time, and we dealt with this all the time, dealing with women. If we'd always talk about if she had that support system,
Yep.
we could work with them. If she didn't, we couldn't, because they had to
Yeah.
battle that. And
Yep.
I've never understood that. I have a strong personality. I'm like, if I want some, I'm gonna fight to the core for that.
Right.
Like, we're going on it. Like, you're just gonna jump on the boat here or not, you know?
Get on board or you're getting like run over.
Yeah, run over because Jennifer's making it happen. But I think that is so important. Like, that is just, it's huge.
Mhm.
And a woman can be successful when she has the support behind her. And if not, she's gonna have to be really strong to get around it. So
Exactly.
I think that's huge.
And I think I struggled with that prior too. I was kind of getting around it, but I didn't have the right support system there.
Yeah.
And so it was amazing to me the doors that opened when I did have the right support
Right.
system.
And I think
Yeah.
we've all been there. I mean,
Mhm.
we've all been in those kinds of relationships where we know it's one of those where you know you need to get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, exit that
Uh-huh.
door.
I know I've said the same thing. Like, I look back on like when I chose to step out and do network marketing. And I remember at the time too, same thing. I went from a bank job that was very steady and I knew my paycheck and I knew everything to like, I have no idea. I remember like I quit my job and I like called my mentor and I was like, so like my paycheck's like kind of like reliant on other people. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's like a big faith walk. So, but yeah, I mean, I would have never taken my step out if I didn't already have such a strong foundation in where I was. And I had just gotten out of like a really abusive marriage. So I always think like if I had been offered that opportunity while I was in my abusive marriage, heck no, I would have never done it. I was
Right.
just trying to keep my head above water while I
Yep.
was in that situation. So it is interesting how it does make a big
It's a
difference.
huge difference.
Mhm.
I tell my youngest son all the time, choose wisely.
Yes.
It's going to make all the difference in the world.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Okay, so I have a fun question for you.
Okay.
I don't even know if I put this in there, but it's fun. What do you like to do for fun?
I like to ride my bicycle.
I like to ride my bicycle.
Outside or Peloton?
Outside. I love the Pelotons too. I've
Oh,
ridden
yeah?
those in hotels before, but I love to cycle. I'm a long distance cycler. I've completed the Hotter Than Hell 100.
Wow.
awesome.
I didn't
Yeah.
even know all this.
Yeah,
That's
so
Yeah.
I have a very, very nice bike. My second one, because my first one got stolen. If you're listening, bring it back.
Bring her bicycle back. No, I was thinking about Queen because we talked about that when
Yeah.
I was on your show. She's
Yeah.
like, my favorite song is. And I've been singing that song. I was singing it this morning. I was playing a game I have this game on my computer or on my iPad, and I was singing it. I'm like, why am I singing Queen? I like to ride my bicycle.
Casey.
Yeah, exactly.
In your head.
She was today, apparently, because I was singing it. Maybe it's because she's coming on the podcast.
That's a
right?
good reason.
That's so funny. So yeah, so that's awesome.
Mhm.
All right. What else you got at? What else do you want to talk to her about? She's awesome. We could be here for a while.
I mean, we've kind of like run through a lot of our
Yeah.
good stuff.
Okay,
I mean,
so
she's been
I
very
got one.
efficient.
I got
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
So if you could be any superhero or character,
Mhm.
who would you be?
So, as far as a character, and I thought about this, did y'all read Little Women?
She's a
if you
fan.
say Joe March,
I'm gonna
you
say
are my
Joe-
person.
I'm going to say Joe
You
March.
guys might have something in common. Check it out.
That is.
She is like the ultimate.
I know.
That was
original,
that was one of the-
bad.
Mhm.
You
She
can say
is
it's okay.
badass.
Yeah, you can say it's okay. We can put the explicit button.
The ass is always the word. The badass is somehow always the bad word.
We like
say.
that word. That's the only word. That's the
It
only
really
cuss
is.
word. We did have the very first person that came on dropped an
He
F bomb.
said the F
Remember that?
word.
And right after she
So it was like,
and we're like, oh, okay, we'll just put an E on that one.
I think I actually went,
Yeah.
you were kind of like, whatever.
I'm like, whatever. I've heard that word a few times. Whatever. Okay.
So, yes, I love Joe March, but I
Yes.
will not cut my hair.
No.
Like she
She's not
did.
cutting her hair.
Yep.
I might have done it.
That was one of the ones she picked, along with Alice in Wonderland, because she has to always save someone.
I feel like she needs guidance. She needs to take your assessment test.
She
Alice.
does.
She does. She does. She needs to take your assessment test.
Yes.
We did
Yeah.
a top 3. It was like our favorite characters or
Uh-huh.
superheroes or something.
Yes.
I picked like what was it, Captain Marvel, and like
You picked Tinkerbell.
I picked
Do
Tinker.
not
I
forget
like
about Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I like Tinker.
Feisty
You don't like
Tinkerbell.
I love Tinkerbell,
she's,
but I,
she's feisty. That's why I
she's
like
kind
her.
of feisty.
She got a little mm-mm.
Oh my gosh.
You have a wand. Like, could you imagine if I had a Tinkerbell wand, what I could do to the world? I'd be like, you're talking too much. You're not doing what I want.
That's about right.
God help us.
Pretty good. No, zero
know.
cooperator.
Yes, right.
That's
You
right.
are the only person I have ever seen on that test. So we're talking about the external.
Yes. Can we talk about this?
Yes,
We have to talk
and it's
about
not
this.
a test; it's an
Mhm.
assessment.
We only have a couple minutes.
I know. It's okay.
But
we'll be
you're
fast.
the only person that I've seen that had a 0.
Well,
Zero
yes.
point zero zero.
Yeah, but
I said,
according to
"Oh,
Jeff,
now I understand."
according to Jeff, that is tied to my expectations of people. Like I have high expectations for myself and other people. So here's the thing: I tell everybody, if you do what you say you're going to do, we're good.
Yes,
I'm gonna
I've
get along.
learned-
I will
I've
get
learned
along
that.
with you. It will be good. Just do what you say, right?
I
Right.
did tell her that I
Yep.
was going to say, "Dear baby Jesus, please give her 3% cooperation."
And I was going to say, Amy needs more. What is it? Task oriented or something.
I don't know. I was good with task oriented. So
The one that's we got to figure out another one. Maybe it's the across the finish line one.
maybe that one.
that
A
one.
little
Task
too ADD.
versus-
Yeah, maybe it's that
Yeah.
one. So
Yeah, I'm task versus people. I'm like 50-50. So
yeah, we just
good.
we got to get her the task a little bit higher,
She-
and then we're good.
Yeah,
we're
she's
good.
so task oriented
Did
and
you
focused.
did you show her mine? Did I send you
No,
mine?
you did send me mine. I haven't showed it to her.
Okay,
yet. I have to
just
show
show
it to her. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're like Twinkies.
It's
She
so
had like a
cool.
couple, a little more points than me, like on the cooperator. You had like 2 or 3. It wasn't
and a
much.
half.
It wasn't much.
2 and a
She's
half.
like, the only one I saw 0. No, and she had like 2.5. Basically, we don't want to cooperate. Okay,
No.
that is the bottom line. Just do what you say you're going to do. We're good.
That's right.
Mine's only like 12%, so I still didn't do like super great
Okay.
with cooperation. So
Hello.
we're all kind of still
Well,
that
maybe
way.
that explains a lot now too.
I know. I'm kind of headstrong.
So
So
funny.
that's a perfect segue,
funny.
I think, for how people can get a hold of you,
Yes.
and also for them to take the assessment and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So tell them all the different ways they can get a hold of you, Casey.
So the best way is probably to go to my personal branding website, which is just my first and last name, Casey Hasten, CASEYASTEN.com. And that points you back to everything. So that's going to point you to VIP, which is the company that I work for. It's going to point you to the podcast. We are VIP. It's also on the very first page, there's a little link that says Find Your Fit. And if you click on that, you can take the assessment and the results will be emailed directly to you, but I'll also get a copy. So watch out.
Awesome.
And-
you get a lot from that, but I'm assuming you have much more in-depth reports?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yes.
So
And
she does.
one of the things that we can do is we've talked a little bit about Jeff Yates. You're going to have him on your show,
Yes.
I think. Jeff is amazing and he tries to make himself available. So if somebody wants to dig in a little deeper to their assessment, because I'm telling you, if you go watch the episode that he recorded with me on We Are VIP podcast, it's like super creepy. I always tell him, I was like, you can tell people what they had for breakfast. He goes, no, but I can tell you why you chose it.
Wow.
And that's how intense this assessment is, especially when you get somebody that knows how to read it.
Yeah, he's good. He said my whole thing without me even saying anything, and then he goes, "How close?" And I'm like, "Spot on."
You're like, it's like you know
Yes.
me.
Like we've been
My-
married forever.
My managing partner took the assessment, and when Jeff gave him his view of it, he goes, "Have you been following me around?" I mean, he was literally like
Yeah.
Creeped out.
creeped out. Yeah, he's like,
We're putting a plug in for him. He's going to be on here soon. So
Yeah.
it'll be fun to get him
Great.
on here. So this is awesome. All right. Well, Casey, this has been awesome. I have to have you back again. We're going to
I
do some more
love
talking.
this.
So I guess it's time for us to get to the end of this. But we do want to say real quick to our listeners, if you enjoy our show, please give us a rating on both iTunes and Facebook because we can't do this without you. With that, we're going to say our mantra real quick. It's a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right, you guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.